Welcome back, everybody. Today I'm going to continue my tour of some of the areas of my garden. Over in the corner here I have what I call my hands-off native bed, and then I have along the fence line I have some cottage garden type, very pollinator garden friendly plants that I'd like to show you. So let me turn the camera around and we'll get started. Thanks. So directly in the corner off my vegetable bed, I come around here. This is kind of where I started foodscaping because I have all my pineapple plants here, one of which has produced. And if you don't think they can grow in partial shade, they can in Florida because they grow really well here. This I grew my Everglades tomatoes in the first year I had that set up, and ever since then I have just grown random stuff in it. I grew velvet beans in it this year. They grew along the fence here, and then now I have more sugar snap peas. So going along here I have, this is my elderberry tree. I literally just cut it back a week or two ago. It got a tiny bit of frost damage on it, but not much. But I'm going to grow it more into a denser shrub. So I did cut off that center branch there, and you see it's already, can't focus there, it's already branching out. So this will be really nice in the spring. I have lots of intentions of making elderberry things. So here, and I had a thought of cutting everything back and making it look tidier, but I figured I'm not going to do that because that's not what I do usually, and I want to show the progression from January throughout the year of what the garden does look like. So this garden, literally this part of my garden is hands off almost 90% of the time, unless I add something or take something away. So all along the ground here I have creeping sage, which is native here. It comes up with these really pretty little tiny purplish blue flowers. It blooms almost all year. So, like you see, sometimes it's blooming now, but it will die back, and it looks really scraggly right now, but I don't mind it. It is a ground cover. It is what it is. So I just leave it, and in the spring and summer it is beautiful over here. No weeding, that's the main reason I grow it. This pot had basil in it, so we'll ignore that for now. This is a little trial I have. It is a type of jasmine that I propagated from my grandma's jasmine. You notice I have logs everywhere because I learned once that every yard should have rotting logs in it because the amount of biodiversity underneath one log is just so vast that it can't be beat. So I have logs scattered about. This is a small beautyberry. I have pennyroyal. Let's see, I cut it back, but this is where I have native bee balm or horse mint growing almost all year long. I make tea out of that. This is a Simpson stopper. It's brand new this year. I have another beautyberry. I think beautyberry is a plant everyone's familiar with. It grows everywhere wild, but it's definitely done what I've wanted it to. It's picked clean from the birds. It makes those beautiful little purple berries on it, and I make a mosquito repellent out of the leaves, and it actually does work. I've worn it out hunting in the swamp, and it was about August, well, I should say scouting, not hunting, but in August, and it works. Let's see, over here I have 2 stands of muley grass. In the fall this turns bright pink, purple, and it's beautiful. It's gone to seed right now. You see its seeds just kind of flow in the wind. This is called a Piney Woods drop seed. I can't get that to focus. It's so small, but it's just another native grass here in Florida. I thought it would be a good addition to this area because it's just, this is the wild look, and it's exactly what I'm going for. So we have some goldenrod that's gone to seed here. This is basically what I do with it. Back here we do have some of the native bee balm that is still hanging out. This is kind of a little microclimate. It stays a little more protected back here, so it's still green. I do have, not right now in this bed, but there is passion fruit vines that grow up through here, but they get completely eaten by the butterfly caterpillars, so there's none of that right now. It'll come back. Here I have coral honeysuckle. Let's see, is there any, there's no little flowers on it now, but it makes honeysuckle flowers that are actually sweet and you can eat them. Oh, here's a little cluster. There's some that hang around this time of year, but mostly in the spring it's quite the show. There's more goldenrod. This is what the goldenrod looks like when it's bigger. Down here it must stay shadier, but in the front yard, look at that. In the front yard it got about 8-10 feet tall, so it's okay. This, for some reason, I cannot get Joe Pye weed to grow. These are bad. They're some kind of Chinese ground orchid, and they come within mulch, and you should get rid of them if you find them growing up in your yard. Backing up a little, my bug hotel is falling apart. I have to redo that. There's some amaryllis growing around here too. That is looking pretty sad at the moment, but it is what it is. The amaryllis was from my dad, so I decided to keep that in the native area, even though it's not native here. Another beautyberry. Like I said, this is a complete transformation in the rest of the year. This is kind of the lull of the year. The other muley grass. There's my toad house, and I have seen toads living in it. I have stands of native milkweed that usually are growing here, but I don't cut them down, because if you see here how the milkweed has holes in it, so that is a great way to help out the native like bees and wasps that live in holes, or some of them burrow in the ground, but some of them nest in holes like this. So if you can stand it, just leave those things. I cut them back a little bit just so they're not, you can't really tell they're even there, but it helps. This was a experiment that I made. I call it a swamp pot. This is a native to Florida. It's called Brown's Savory. If you'll look, it's got these tiny, tiny little flowers, and I think it smells like oregano or something. It's got a very earthy smell, but it grows in wetlands. I don't have any, I mean, I have a whole pond behind my house, but nothing in my yard stays wet enough for this to thrive. And since I don't upkeep this area very well, like like I said, I'm hands off. I put it in this pot, no drainage holes. Also some swamp milkweed, which it's all been eaten, so that's why it still sticks. It'll come back in the spring. But yeah, and it just thrives, and I don't do anything, literally zero maintenance to this whole bed. So I mean, if that's something you're interested in, zero maintenance, I mean, that's what native gardening is. It helps the lazy gardener. I guess I'll show this. This was covered in my velvet beans. About a week ago I cut them all back because they died of the frost. But like everything else, it's winter, so everything is small right now. These are all coreopsis or tick seed. They're native here to Florida. I have a bunch of salvia. This is the red salvia that's native to Florida. Let's see. There's also, I seeded things in here that are, oh, there's some borage. Borage is edible. I plan to use a lot of it in tea. There's bachelor buttons in here. I seeded poppies in here, but I don't see any of those yet. It might be too warm for poppies here. Who knows? Oh, here we go. There's a little bit bigger of the borage. It's kind of furry. Bachelor button. Let's see. There's some more milkweed that's hanging on. Let's see. This is it's a velvet bean that I missed. This is I can't think of the name. I'll think of it and then I'll put it on the screen. But it's got a pretty purple fluffy flower. It's native to Florida. There's more horse mint. And then the rest of it I seeded kind of like a cottage garden method. Lots of the green and white dill, the dara. There might be some carrots in here. This, I'm hoping eventually it takes over, but it's kind of dormant right now. It's called a health aster, and it grows the tiniest little white flowers in the fall. But it could work as a ground cover. I'm hoping it moves along. Yep, and so everything's in the seedling or very small plant stage. That was a gift from one of the people I buy a lot of plants from. It's a Florida rose, they call it. So, yep, there's not much to look at right here. Like I said, this time of year things are either really small or they're just being dormant. So this is a January shot of this area, and I can't wait to see what it looks like come the spring. And there's my bat house. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Thanks, bye.